Imagine waking up to a world where the most familiar truths are suddenly questioned, where the foundation of morality, purpose, and even reality itself is being shaken to its core. What if, as Nietzsche boldly declared, God is dead? What would that mean for us, for our values, and for the way we live our lives? Welcome to the unfolding journey of self-discovery and philosophical exploration, where we dive into the deep questions that shape our existence. Welcome to the Unfolding Journey channel, where we explore the big ideas that challenge our thinking and push the boundaries of what we know. If you're ready to engage with some of the most thought-provoking topics in philosophy, culture, and human experience, you're in the right place. When Friedrich Nietzsche famously declared that God is dead, it was not a literal statement about the death of a deity, but a profound philosophical declaration about the state of modernity. This declaration was a commentary on the decline of traditional religious and metaphysical beliefs, especially Christianity, in the Western world. This statement first appears in Nietzsche's 1882 work The Gay Science, particularly in the section titled The Madman, where a madman runs through the streets shouting that God is dead and that humanity has killed him. Nietzsche's God is dead is a metaphorical statement, not a theological claim. It signifies the profound shifts occurring in European thought at the time. The rise of scientific rationalism, the Enlightenment's challenges to religious authority, the erosion of faith in metaphysical certainties, and the increasing secularization of society. Nietzsche was not suggesting that God had literally died or that the Christian God no longer existed. Rather, he was observing that the guiding force of religion, particularly Christianity, had lost its power in the modern, industrialized world. The meaning of God is dead. To understand Nietzsche's famous statement, we must first grasp the broader context of his critique of Western civilization, which had been deeply rooted in Christian values for centuries. The death of God for Nietzsche was not merely about the collapse of a particular religious tradition, but rather a seismic shift in how people understand meaning, morality, and existence itself. Let's break down some of the critical interpretations and consequences of this death. The decline of religious faith. The death of God represents the decline of religious faith in a time when scientific reasoning, humanistic values, and secular philosophies were challenging the authority of religious institutions. Nietzsche believed that through the advancements in science and the increasing prominence of secular humanism, traditional religious narratives had lost their credibility. With the rise of Darwinism, Marxism, and other intellectual movements, the once unquestioned certainty that God existed as a central figure in human life was beginning to falter. As belief in God diminished, so did belief in a moral order governed by divine authority. For Nietzsche, this process wasn't merely an intellectual shift, it was existential. The very structure of the human experience, long defined by the concepts of sin, salvation, and divine purpose, was now in jeopardy. The question for Nietzsche was, how would humans live in a world no longer governed by the certainty of divine law, cultural and moral consequences? With the death of God, Nietzsche foresaw a profound crisis: moral relativism and nihilism. If the foundations of morality no longer rested upon a divine lawgiver, then the objective moral truths that had guided society for centuries would also crumble. Nietzsche recognized that the loss of religious belief could lead to nihilism, the belief that life has no inherent meaning or purpose. Without a transcendent source of meaning, human existence risks becoming meaningless. This crisis of meaning is at the heart of Nietzsche's thought. He worried that in the absence of God, people would be left in a void, struggling to find purpose in a universe that no longer offered the comforting certainties of religious doctrine. But Nietzsche did not see nihilism as an end state. It was merely a stage in the process of human evolution. The real challenge, according to Nietzsche, was how humanity could overcome this existential void and create new values and new meanings that would allow them to live fully and authentically in a world without God. The madman and the loss of absolute truth. In The Gay Science, Nietzsche presents the image of the madman to illustrate the implications of the death of God. The madman declares, "God is dead, and we have killed him." This statement is not an expression of atheism per se, but a recognition of the deep cultural and psychological shift occurring at that time. The madman's pronouncement is a reflection on humanity's role in the loss of divine authority, a recognition that human beings, through their intellectual and cultural developments, have abandoned the traditional beliefs that once provided moral and existential order. The crowd of people who hear the madman's proclamation, however, do not understand the gravity of what he's saying. They laugh at him, dismissing his words as the ramblings of a madman. This response reflects Nietzsche's critique of contemporary society, a society that has become so absorbed in its materialism, pragmatism, and self-interest that it no longer understands the implications of the loss of transcendent meaning. Nietzsche's Madman speaks to the loss of absolute truth. The madman's statement encapsulates the growing awareness that the metaphysical certainties of the past, whether in religion, morality, or metaphysics, are no longer valid. With God's death, humanity faces a world without fixed meaning or ultimate truth. This void is deeply unsettling, but it also opens up a crucial opportunity, the chance for humans to create meaning for themselves. Nihilism and the need for new values. While the death of God might lead to nihilism, Nietzsche did not see this as a permanent condition. Instead, he viewed it as a crucible, a moment of immense challenge and potential. Without divine meaning, humanity has the opportunity to create new values, new purposes, and new ways of being that are not dependent on religious or metaphysical beliefs. For Nietzsche, this crisis was not something to be feared, but to be embraced. He viewed the will to power, the drive to assert one's existence and to shape the world according to one's vision, as the antidote to nihilism. Instead of succumbing to despair, Nietzsche urged individuals to affirm life and create values that are life-affirming, that celebrate existence in all its complexity and struggle. The Übermensch, Overman, or Superman. One of Nietzsche's most provocative and enduring concepts in response to the death of God and the ensuing crisis of meaning is the idea of the Übermensch, often translated as Overman or Superman. The Übermensch represents an individual who has transcended the limitations of conventional morality, the old values that were tied to religious and societal norms. The Übermensch is not bound by traditional notions of good and evil, but creates their own values, living with an authenticity and strength that rises above the herd mentality. In Nietzsche's vision, the Übermensch embodies the possibility for human beings to move beyond the despair of nihilism, to create meaning and purpose on their own terms, and to live fully in a way that celebrates the human capacity for growth, creativity, and individual power. The Übermensch is a figure of self-overcoming, a person who is not satisfied with mediocrity, but strives to become more than they are, reaching for greatness despite the absence of any ultimate divine sanction. The eternal recurrence. Another key aspect of Nietzsche's response to the death of God is his doctrine of eternal recurrence, the idea that all events in life might repeat themselves eternally, exactly as they have occurred. In his work Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche introduces the concept as a thought experiment. What if everything you experience, every joy, pain, triumph, and failure, were to recur again and again, eternally? This idea serves as both a challenge and a test. Nietzsche uses it to ask, how would you live your life if you knew it would repeat infinitely? Would you live differently? Would you embrace your life more fully? Nietzsche proposes that, to affirm life fully, one must be able to say yes to the eternal recurrence, to live in such a way that you would be willing to relive your life, with all its struggles and triumphs, for eternity. This radical affirmation of life, despite its fleeting and often painful nature, is central to Nietzsche's philosophy. Nietzsche's philosophy is often misunderstood as simply being a critique of religion or an endorsement of atheism, but at its core, it is a profound examination of the human condition and the possibilities of living authentically in a world without traditional sources of meaning. His challenge is not merely to reject God, but to face the full responsibility of freedom in a world where we must create our own meaning. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Nietzsche and want to keep exploring the mysteries of existence with us, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. The journey is just beginning. Let's unfold it together.